tired of hearing from me, and then you guys can pass the mic down. As you can see, most of our panelists, this guy here, this guy here, this guy, we're all working on the crash test. Otherwise, we'd have had the panel go forward a little bit earlier. But tell us who you are and what brings you here today, and why you've been called to do this.
Well, I'm David Friedman. I am the Vice President for Advocacy at Consumer Reports, and I am here because this is just simply the right thing to do, is to fix this horrible problem. I still remember back when I was at NHTSA, building not too far from here, and the cars came and brought with them a really impressive petition calling on the Department of Transportation to step up for families like theirs who have just gone through unimaginable tragedy. And so to me, we all have to be here to help ensure that other families don't have to go through that same challenge. So I definitely want to thank the Carths and all the other families who are here, who are turning their tragedy into trying to make progress so that others don't have to suffer. And definitely our thanks to Senator Jill Wren and her staff for trying to help move forward with the Stop Underrides Act. We've got over 200 fatalities per year that clearly, when you look at the technology that's out here, never needed to happen and shouldn't happen again. So I'm glad to be here with folks who are trying to fix the problem.
Thank you very much. Appreciate that. I got to keep the mic on so there's no leg. Glen Berry, he's our great volunteer, good friend actually. Glenn, go ahead and introduce yourself.
My name is Glen Berry. I work for Thomas Transport. Been involved in a couple of these different crash studies and just trying to volunteer and put a little bit of time and effort in to help us get pushed through. Any safety professional should obviously consider having this done to their equipment. I mean, it just makes common sense.
And Glenn helped move the trailers around and helped bring one of the trailers up here for this event. Go ahead and pass the mic, my friend. Aaron Kiefer, go ahead.
Hi, yeah, my name is Aaron Kiefer. I work with a consulting company called Accident Research Specialists. We do forensics, and we see the Underride accident far too often, and I realized that there are probably some relatively simple engineering solutions a few years ago. And so my gracious wife has let me invest some time and some of our personal money in trying to come up with a solution which could be used by the industry one day to prevent these types of accidents.
Thank you. And Malcolm Deighton, please introduce yourself.
Yeah, hi, my name is Malcolm Deighton. I'm an advanced development engineer for an aluminum company, Hydro, and we are a major supplier to the OE trailer manufacturers. And part of my role has been always looking at different solutions for taking weight out of trailers, and that started out targeting things that were already steel, one of those being rear underride. So the story kind of evolved when we took a look at lightening up the current design, and we understood that there were shortcomings, as we obviously saw today, to what's out there. And we've kind of morphed that into creating prototypes and kind of demonstrating that weight. We came across a lot of folks who said that weight was an issue. So our job is to look at how we manufacture these things and create them so that they are the same weight or less weight, but provide a safer thing. And I'd say one last thing, we're also a supplier to the automotive market. So we take a lot of the technology in alloy development and other joining technologies, and we apply those across the board. So we're taking things that have been in the automotive industry for quite some years on the alloy side, on energy absorption, and we're just simply placing those into potential parts of the trailer that make sense.
Thank you. David Dorrity.
I'm David Dorrity. I'm from South Carolina. I'm a trucking safety expert. I own and operate a consulting firm that investigates truck and bus wrecks for a living. I'm also a member of the North American Transportation Management Institute, where I'm a certified director of safety and adjunct professor. The NATME, for short, is a member of the Truckload Carriers Association, formerly the American Trucking Association. I've investigated probably about 50 of these underride, both side and rear. Currently in my office alone, we have 4 underwrite cases that are active where they're being litigated either by my clients, the insurance side or in the plaintiff side. Five fatalities in those 4 cases alone.
Thank you. Perry Ponder.
I'm Perry Ponder with Seven Hills Engineering. That's my company, very small company. Got my start at working for a small trailer manufacturer called Terminal Service Company. From there, I moved into reconstructing accidents, forensic engineering, and eventually got called on to work on the issue of trailer side underride, and AngelWing as a result of that.
Thank you. So I want to give recognition to both Perry Ponder and Aaron Kiefer. I'm going to give Aaron, if somebody can pass Aaron the mic first. Tell us about this, what your design is called, first and foremost, because we know the AngelWing name fairly well, and I kept butchering it. I've never asked you what the name of it is. What is the name of your design?
Well, I have not consulted any marketing experts, but I call it the SafetySkirt.
All right, so tell us about how you went from idea to actually putting it on paper to concept. And I want to thank all the panelists. We have not only engineers who've come up with these ideas, we've got somebody on the original equipment side, we've got a truck safety guy, we've got a truck driver and a truck company guy, and we have a consumer guy all on this panel. So we've got a really awesome panel here. But Aaron, I'm going to pitch the ball back to you. Tell us how the light bulb went on, so to speak. Like at us.
Well, in a side underride, the energy and the crash forces are sometimes low enough that they are absolutely survivable, except for the passenger compartment intrusion. And so just thinking through the scenario and understanding that even a textile, which is light and flexible, if properly applied to hard mounts, could restrain a vehicle from underriding. That was the idea. Put it on some paper and basically have been testing since then. A little bit of simulation analysis on the front end to prove that the idea was viable. And since then, it's just been a series of prototypes.
How many tests have you done, and how has your product evolved? And I'm going to pitch these same questions back to Perry. Go ahead.
Yeah, I've tested it, I'd say at least 15 times, starting from rolling a vehicle across a parking lot to the highest speed of 33 miles per hour striking speed. And it's been iterative, and I'm looking for good ideas to continue to improve, and maybe some support from the industry to improve this product even more and make it a reality.
All right, thank you. I'm going to have Perry Ponder. How did you come up with the idea of the AngelWing? How has it evolved? Go ahead.
Well, it was, I mean, in concept, just basically a transfer of the guardrail concept from the rear of the bumper to the sides. I've been involved in maybe 7 or 8 crash tests, side underride guard crash tests in total, and this today I think would be the 5th crash test of the AngelWing in its current form.
So we have a couple of folks here. I'm going to have the consumer guy. We have David Friedman, Consumer Reports. Why don't you tell us what perspective that you lend and who your audience is and why you're here and why this matters?
Well, I think this is just part of a bigger problem we have in our society. In 2017 alone, 37,133 people died on our highways, and sadly, we all too often barely blink. And I think this is just another critical example of avoidable tragedy that our society has failed to really step up and do what it takes to fix the problem. I mean, from my perspective, sadly it's been far too of an uphill battle. It's going to take, I think, either an active Congress or responsible companies stepping up and seeing that it's better for not only their social bottom line, but their base bottom line to actually put this technology on all their trucks on their own. But if they don't, Congress has got to step in and make sure they do.
Okay, I'm going to have you pass the mic to Glen because you talked about responsible companies. Glen Berry is the COO of Thomas Transport, and it is a responsible company. It is like participated in 2 of these crash tests so far. Glen, tell us, have you guys put an AngelWing or any of these devices on any of your trailers?
We do. We have one on a reefer trailer that's a refrigeration trailer, I should say, that runs back and forth to San Antonio, Texas. Our concern was weight. You hear weight from every single company. Lucky for us, we had a trailer that we could use the AngelWing with, and it hasn't been a factor at all whatsoever. I was concerned about structural because you're now making something rigid that should flex a little bit. No effect at all. I've just been on the truck for 250,000 miles and I've had no issues at all.
250,000 miles, so like 250,000 miles. I think we talked about it a little bit. Where does that truck and trailer go to point A to point B?
It starts in Macedonia, Ohio, kind of Akron, Cleveland area, more folks would know. Goes down to San Antonio in Texas, back every single week, so 3,000 miles a week.
Thank you. While we're talking about miles that are actually tested on the AngelWing, Perry, can you tell us how many prototypes do you have out there and how many miles have been tested?
There is an early version of the AngelWing, which has about 300,000 miles on it, doing fine, no issues. More recently, there were 2 guards put onto flatbed trailers for a company called Cemex down in Florida, a company that transports cement block from the factory to job sites.
All right, we heard a little bit about weight being an issue, so if you could pass the mic to Malcolm Deighton and talk a little bit about what he's hearing from the industry. And your company's really, really key on creating really strong structures of the trailers themselves, but taking some of the weight out of it. Tell us how that's done and why weight should not be as big of a concern as it is.
Well, I'd rephrase that and say weight is a concern because I think it's important for people to understand that even if you remove a pound from a trailer, this trailer is seeing 1,000,000 miles in its life. So I always ask people, go down to UPS with your 1 pound package and see what that costs to ship it 1,000,000 miles. There's a cost associated with it, and we don't like to dismiss that. I think from our standpoint, our goal is to work with our customers because obviously our goal is to put more aluminum into